A Prince Freddie sleep story. The night Señora Benilde's garden held its breath. Señora Benilde was sitting in the middle of her garden, in the dark. A shawl was around her shoulders. She was looking at the far wall. Prince Freddie saw her from the cliff path on his way home. He stopped. She had moved her chair to the centre of the garden, which she never did. Her hands were folded in her lap. She was not doing anything except watching the far wall. He put his front paws on the low gate and looked in. Señora Benilde? Prince Freddie. She didn't turn around, but her voice was warm. Come in if you like. I have been hoping for company. He nosed the gate open. He picked his way along the narrow path. The garden smelled of warmth from the soil, of time, and something else. He sat beside her chair and looked at the far wall. It was covered in plants, the vertical garden she had tended for years. Herbs and succulents in narrow pockets, small trailing things. Near the top, in a deep crack in the limestone, there was a bud. Large, white, tightly furled, the size of a closed fist. 7 years, Señora Benilde said, without him asking. 7 years since the last one. My friend from the next village came, and we sat up together and watched it open. She brought blankets and warm milk, and we stayed until dawn. She smiled at the memory. I must tell her you are here tonight. She will be jealous. She was quiet for a moment. It only opens once. One night, and then it's gone. The flower is finished by morning. Freddie sat beside her. What time? He said. After midnight, usually. Sometimes closer to 2. He settled more firmly. He was not going anywhere. They kept watch together, the old woman and the corgi. The village went quiet around them. The last lights in the harbour went out one by one. Señora Benilde told him things. She had held stories a long time. About the garden when she was a girl, when her grandfather built the wall by hand. About the plants she had lost to bad winters. About the years she had spent learning every growing thing on this coast. Freddie listened. His ears were soft. The faint, waiting smell in the air was growing almost imperceptibly stronger. Sometime after midnight, something caught his eye near the base of the wall. A small movement, slow and deliberate. A snail making its way upward
with the focused intensity of something that had been planning this for some time. It reached a flat stone and stopped, as if checking its position, then pressed on toward the bud. Freddie glanced at Señora Benilde. She had seen it too. "He has been on that wall for 3 weeks," she said, with great serenity. "I have been watching him." Freddie watched the snail pick its way along the limestone. He could have started later and still made it. He didn't know that, Señora Benilde said. Neither did I, frankly. She folded her shawl a little tighter. We have both been very committed. The snail arrived at the level of the bud and went still. Whether it knew what was coming or simply needed a rest was impossible to say. Either seemed reasonable. The flower opened slowly. It had waited a very long time. The white petals unfurled one by one. The smell came with them. Something sweet and enormous and brief. It filled the walled garden completely. The scent of a single night's worth of everything the plant had saved. Freddie's whiskers moved. He had never smelled anything quite like it. It was not a quiet smell. The smell of something that had decided, after 7 years, that now was the time. "Mira," Señora Benilde said softly. Not to him, not to anyone. Just the word offered to the night. They stayed until the flower was fully open, wide and white against the dark limestone, the petals slightly luminous in the starlight. The snail had not moved. "Will you come back next time?" Freddie said as he was leaving. "In 7 years." She smiled at that. "I intend to," she said, "though one never knows. That is rather the point of waiting for something." She tucked her shawl a little tighter. The not knowing is part of the arrangement. Freddie walked home along the cliff path. The night was very still. Below him, the village square lay quiet. His cottage was just ahead. He stopped for a moment at the gate, without opening it. The cottage was warm and quiet. He lifted the latch. His human had left the bed turned down on his side. Freddie stepped up. He circled once, twice, 3 times. Then he turned inward. His body curved and tightened slowly. His nose tucked toward his back paws. He gathered himself in, small and warm and complete. His breathing slowed. In the garden on the cliff wall, the flower was still open, white and enormous in the dark. The end. Rest well, Prince Freddie.